What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
The 5th annual Pinehurst Barbecue Festival is right around the corner this Labor Day weekend. The 3-day event in late August features 5 signature events, concluding with the Christopher Prieto Pitmaster Invitational on Sunday, August 31st in the iconic village of Pinehurst. 7 of the state's top pitmasters will be on hand for patrons to sample 7 different meats and 7 different southern sides, including brisket, ribs, pork barbecue, smoked crab, and much more. Tickets to all of the events are on sale now at PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com. And remember, to help celebrate the festival's 5th anniversary, purchase a ticket to be entered into a drawing for Tickets for Life. That's right, Tickets for Life. Don't miss one of the top food festivals of the year in North Carolina. Log on to PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com and secure your tickets now. And to help you get a better feel for what to expect during this year's Pinehurst Barbecue Festival, we're connecting with the Q School instructor and namesake for the festival's signature Sunday event. Is barbecue nerd Christopher Prieto, a champion pitmaster, book author, barbecue teacher, and the founder of Prime Barbecue in Knightdale, North Carolina, among other things. Of course, the Christopher Prieto Pitmaster Invitational is the crown jewel of the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival. We're so excited to welcome him to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, before we get into Prime Barbecue and the Barbecue Festival, I got to get the scoop on progress happening on your next venture, Prime STQ. How are things going with this new steak and barbecue concept? Tell me all about it.
Sure. So it's definitely a new concept. So it's a restaurant that has not been built, executed, and designed in this way. So with everything that's new, it's going to be complex, just like it was here at Prime. So we're looking towards opening at the end of this year, beginning of next year. All the interiors got selected. We have, the exteriors completed, the engineers, Durham has approved, the board has approved. There's just a lot more hoops to jump through with this concept. And, it's really exciting. So I'm trying to not reinvent the traditional way we consume barbecue, but introduce it into a new light. And also in that specific area, I like to craft all of the restaurants to meet the picture that's being painted for that area and those types of clients. The RTP area is a little bit more of a melting pot of cultures and people. That's where all the large companies are. So there's a lot of more diversity in backgrounds, cultures, and I really believe that the healthiness of a restaurant is when you can look around and see all the different demographics of people, age groups. That's when you've really honed into something special. We see that here at Prime. I want to create that for STQ, but not just STQ. I want to create that for the city of Durham. That's a whole new landscape. I always think of opening restaurants like trout fishing. You just can't use the same lures. You have to truly understand the ecosystem and where you fish, what the fish not bite on, but how they eat. And I think with this new concept, it'll really kind of landscape barbecue in a new way, but it'll introduce more fine dining steakhouse elements. I've done a lot of traveling and due diligence with this. I mean, who doesn't love steakhouses, right? I mean, that's like the coolest place to go. We celebrate there. We enjoy occasions there. It's a special date night occasion. But I also wanted to, and I feel that's the same occasion for barbecue, right? So during the day, we're taking our family and friends. We're taking that special person from out of town. This is signature to, North Carolina. You're introducing someone to your own stomping ground. And we wanted to create that at STQ, but in a new way and fashion. There'll be a lot more points of interaction, which are really important. Experience points that we need in a steakhouse, like, bourbon pouring. It's needed in a steakhouse. Tableside wine service. The steakhouse menu, though, and you're the first one to know this, I haven't said this to other publications, it's all of my signature dishes for the most important people that come to my home.
Oh,
And I would eat with these chefs and go to their homes and eat these extraordinary dishes that they didn't have on their own menus. And, that turned into a conversation of what if we just opened restaurants where it's just our signature stuff?
yeah.
Like, we're not trying to sell to, like get the salmon on the menu, but, is salmon what we cook at home? If my really important guest came from out of town, is salmon the go-to, or is it, a wood blistered trout with this type of sauce breaded? I think about that a lot because I think the restaurants and the food itself should tell a story, and it should bring people to an experience that you had and recreate new experiences for them. So really excited. Appreciate us asking about it.
Yeah, and that's going to be great news for the Boxyard RTP there in Durham. And again, like you said, end of the year, maybe early part of 2026. And we'll talk more about your flagship venture, Prime Barbecue, and the Barbecue Festival, of course, including the Pitmaster Invitational and the Q School classes. First, I want to go down a quick road with an invitation for our audience. Please take a moment to visit the Low and Slow Barbecue Show online at our website. That's lowslowbbqshow.com. You can sign up for our newsletter. We'll send the lowdown on the latest Carolina barbecue news to your email inbox on Tuesday mornings. Also at lowslowbbqshow.com, you'll find interviews with pitmasters from across the Carolinas, including some of the participants in this year's Christopher Prieto Pitmasters Invitational. We got Louis Sweet Lou Donald from Sweet Lou's in Charlotte. There's Ronald, Mr. 365 Simmons from Master Blend, and Southern Smoke Barbecue's Matthew Register. Conversations with those guys and more, all at lowslowbbqshow.com. But today, it's the pitmaster whose name's on the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival event, Christopher Prieto. Now, Christopher, before we get into the festival, let's talk more about your barbecue business side now. And for folks that don't know, maybe give us an overview on what is Prime Barbecue and what can somebody expect during a visit there?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, Prime Barbecue is a destination barbecue restaurant located in little old Knightdale, North Carolina. I think barbecue restaurants should be in a special town that is the rising tide in the communities, the flagship barbecue spot. And that's one thing I've always dreamt about. Now at Prime, it's really, my roots and where I'm from is Texas. I was born in Texas, raised in Texas. And, my first love was brisket. So before getting into competition barbecue and things of that, my first cooks, my first, moment that I knew barbecue was my everything was when I ate brisket. And I really feel that that's my main focal point here. We wanted to truly create and consistently approach high quality executed brisket. Now, around that tray that you have here at Prime, you're going to see your usual suspects in the Texas lineup. House-made link sausage that's made in-house, popped in-house. Smoked turkey breast is our poultry. We have a chopped pork shoulder, but it's more in the lining, still kind of salt pepper, but we finish it more in a competition style. So there's sweeter notes there. We're going to have our Texas style ribs, salt pepper, 1 year aged pecan wood smoke with a nice barbecue glaze. But we like to dance around kind of the other elements of barbecue. The other half of my life has been in Eastern Carolina. I married a girl from Raleigh. All my 5 children have been born in Knightdale and Raleigh. So I want to make sure in my restaurants east of North Carolina. So I have to make sure I'm paying homage to those cooking styles as well. We do a play on an Eastern Carolina style hog. We cook it Eastern Carolina style, whole animal over top of coals on a BQ. Except for we add nuances of my Puerto Rican heritage, something else I'm very proud of. So it's more of a lechon flavor. So the seasoning's different. The acid when we dress the pig is differently. But all throughout the week, you're going to see different parts of my career, my story I like to tell. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, chicken fried steak, Frito pie, burnt ends, triple threat wings. Then we do house-made pastrami, grilled pastrami bacon. We do half chickens on Thursday. So really, we do it all the different types and styles and executing. And they're all from things I believe in and things I've eaten throughout my travels. the space itself, which, I'm in right now, it's a little bit grand, but I wanted the barbecue restaurant to almost look like a church. So when you walk in, it's got this like holiness to it, right? Barbecue, to me, a barbecue restaurant's a holy place. And when you walk in, you pause and you smell and you take in just the aroma of what you just walked into. And I tell people here, if you're a vegetarian, the air isn't vegetarian here. You are literally breathing in meat vapors. And they love that. They're okay with taking in the meat vapors. But, the line is intentional. The way we line people up, you're going to hit a line. Great barbecue, we don't rush it. And a lot of it has to do with our process. We don't rush the process. It's all wood fired. 24 hours a day, 6 days a week with a real human being watching and crafting the barbecue the entire time. But we like to take the time with every individual guest when you come up to the board. So, it's more like market style. You're going up to a board. You're saying as much or as little as you want. It's all handcrafted to your specifications. You get a little nibble. You get what you want cut on a tray. You can order the features up top if you like. But really, I like the line, and it is intentional so that you have to slow down and meet your neighbors. Yeah. That you have to put your phone down just for a second and say, hey, have you been here before? Where else have you been? And then you start to see how the line is an opportunity. It's not something that you're like, man, I can't believe I'm in another line. This is the best line to be in because everyone's here for the same purpose. They all love the same thing. You can trade stories and meet people. And we've actually had people meet in line, propose in line. We've had people married here. The line is a powerful thing here at Prime.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool part of the experience. Now, take us into the roots of the restaurant. I read here on the website there at prime-bbq.com. It says a little bit about you guys getting started during the COVID era. Tell us how you got the restaurant going. And at that time, it seemed like maybe brisket was just starting to emerge into the North Carolina barbecue scene. Obviously, that's part of your history. But what was it like kind of venturing into a meat that maybe not everybody in North Carolina was accustomed to?
Yeah. So, I tell a lot of people, I haven't changed my age in a while, but I'm 92 in barbecue years. Okay. So I've been doing barbecue for a long time, and I've been in every facet, working as a pit master, working in restaurants, professional competition cook on the circuit for 12 years. And I really had, I'm still dialing in brisket now, but I had been a caterer, a big caterer, competition cook. I was teaching classes. I was writing cookbooks, doing those things. It wasn't until I started teaching classes with Wounded Warrior Project, and I started to rehabilitate veterans using barbecue as a therapeutic tool. I've done that for a very long time, and soldiers would kind of get up and join me and start teaching classes with me. And I drew this restaurant a long time ago. I conceptualized Prime Barbecue in college, and I said, I'm going to have a barbecue restaurant. I think that's every barbecue person's goal, to be honest. But I really didn't need to at that part of my career. And I felt, with these soldiers, and there's a retired fireman with me. He's my first employee, Mr. Albert, and Justin and Michael was with me. And we got to a point where I felt like we had enough of a crew. We were capable to execute a barbecue restaurant. So in 2017, we got the land that Prime Barbecue now sits on. The restaurant that I drew that we were executing, it was very complex, like STQ. It took 2 years and 2 days to build this building.
Wow. Now,
had I known that the day of completion would be the day of the pandemic, I probably would have rushed the project a little bit. But I truly believe in God's plan, and my plan are completely different. And he wanted me to open during the pandemic and truly understand the purpose of barbecue and the legacy I have to leave. And, 2 years and 2 days is a long time for a building. But once we got our CO, it was May of 2020. So as the building started to erect and I started to see, your lifelong dream come together, you start saying like, man, I really got it going on. Like this place is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And
I funny enough, heard a sermon where a preacher said the center of sin is the letter I. And in that part of my career, as this started to erect, I started to really realize that it's not about me. It's not about what I want. And to solidify that, the pandemic came. And he said, yes, I'm going to give you this building, but no, you can't have anyone in it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And the whole staff that you hired will leave you the first day. And yes, you will have to have cots in the pit room and sleep in your restaurant and do it all by yourself with your core team. But it really helped us comprehend, really, one, who holds the keys to this, two, how important the craft of barbecue is to people. How even though it was that horrific of a time, people still came to grab barbecue. And I had to pivot and do these to-go boxes. And I really had to say, when they open this box, I have to tell my story. But luckily, I had 12 years of experience with that with the competition barbecue. The judge is double blinded on a KCBS box. They don't know that it's, Prime Barbecue, Christopher Prieto cooking that box. But I had to prove to them, bite by bite, am I worth the 180? Am I going to get 9s today? And not only that, but I had to, it showed me that people have to be my purpose, not my profit. This business of barbecue is extremely difficult. And those first years really drug me down, but restaurants do that.
Yeah.
One thing I did learn, though, no matter how difficult this was, that people and the relationships built around barbecue are extraordinary. It's an extraordinary thing to witness, to see. And once the doors opened, finally, I remember that. And remember, when doors opened, it wasn't all like, hooray. It was 6 feet, masked up, still intense. And I had to go through another year of that. But I was so thankful for every single person that stood in line. And I realized that all that work in my childhood and through college, getting to this point is not where it ends. This is where it begins. And now we're 5 years in. And every time I open that door, which I do every day, if you come to Prime, especially on a Saturday, I am physically opening that door and shaking every hand. I will never lose that passion and that purpose behind what I had to go through those few years. So I'm thankful for the pandemic. I think I'm the only one who is, but I am extremely thankful for the pandemic and the trials I had to go through to get to where I'm at today.
Yeah, and while we're on that passion point, I know, and I see your Instagram, and I see some pictures of your loved ones, your children on there, teaching them up at an early age. Maybe talk a little bit about the role that the family has played in your barbecue business and your success for you as a human.
Man, what a beautiful question, and no one ever asked that. Such a beautiful thing. So the foundation, in this business is the most important thing. I can't get through the day unless I'm standing on something firm. So first and foremost, my faith is the most important thing to me. Without that, I can't love my wife well. Without loving my wife well, my children can't see what a marriage looks like. And I can't guide my children because they don't trust me. So guiding them, growing them up to know the Lord, to work and be passionate about what they do. Obviously, I have 5 children, so they all stare at me going, who's going to run the barbecue business? And I look at them and I say, none of you have to. I want you to do like how God led me, use my passion and my talents to bring him glory. That's all I care about. It can be in anything. If they happen to choose barbecue, not going to lie, I'm going to be pretty excited. 3 of the 5 kids currently work in my restaurant, and they work every position. They wash windows, wipe floors, work the pit rooms, do the registers. Nothing's given. It's always earned. But that relationship when I go home does not drain me. Okay. I don't give it all to the barbecue restaurant. When I walk through those doors, and no matter how tired I am, how much my feet hurt, how much I smell like the inside of a pit, all 5 of those kids run to my arms and they just want 100% of me.
Yeah.
They don't want 10% of what I got left. And that charges my battery. A kiss from my wife, hearing all 5 kids tell me a story, me trying to pick out which story I need to listen to, because usually it's, I burned this down earlier today. And I'm like, wait, what did you just say? and really, it's like, I just saw Superman yesterday. So it's like seeing the sun. The Superman's only weak till that sun recharges and heals and brings him back to life. And only then he's his most powerful. My family is like the sun to me. And it allows me to come through these doors knowing that it's going to be a tough day, knowing that I'm cooking a tough product, knowing that that line is looking at me and wants me to fail. Barbecue is an introduction to an argument, period. Statement over. Okay. So when they stand in that line, they're like, is it really that good? Am I really going to like it? Why doesn't he have hush puppies? These are all okay things. And if I didn't have that recharge from my family, I honestly couldn't face the day.
Yeah, great perspective and insights there from Christopher Prieto. Now, Chris, again, looking at your website there at Prime Barbecue, you talk about having a signature style, and there's one thing that jumped out at me: food steeped in tradition, but given new life. What does that mean? New life.
New life it's interesting, and man, you're really good at this. You ask really good questions. I do these a lot, and you're very intricate. You can't reinvent something that's not broken. The tradition of barbecue is forever. You cook with wood, you put meat, you break the meat down to a tenderness, not a temperature. You slice that meat, you enjoy it. Like you can't break that algorithm. But what you can do now that the world to me has shrunk. I mean, you and I are talking not even in the same room, right? Your audience is probably all over the globe hearing us talk. And that's amazing. The world has shrunk. I think same with barbecue. You can have different styles of barbecue now. A chef can wink at their cultural background towards barbecue in a way where the Puerto Ricans can sit down and eat the food and find joy, because I'm using this. But at the same token, the Eastern Carolina style, 85-year-old man that's only eaten at B's his whole life can go, that's executed well. That is a whole pig cooked over coals. So that's giving it kind of a new life. We're breaking down the borders that set up barbecue, the Kansas City style, the North Carolina style, the Texas style. I definitely stay in my lane when it comes to traditional Texas style. I need a Texan to walk through that door and know that this is a Texan restaurant. I don't pretend to be old school Eastern Carolina style, but I have to show it reverence. I have a Skylight Inn lids hung up on my walls like pieces of artwork. Like these are things that we do not forget. These are the people who paved the path that I get to walk on. And I have to honor that. But while I walk on this path, I have to create a legacy for my family, for my Puerto Rican heritage, and to bring Texas pride when it comes to executing brisket, Bluebell ice cream, chicken fried steak, and Texas Twinkies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned a lot of your influences and some of the people you draw inspiration from. What's somebody in the Carolinas or maybe who's somebody in the Carolinas that's doing things in barbecue that really excites you now?
Now? Well, that's even a better question. Well, I want to use before and now, okay?
Sure.
Because one of my, he cooked at my bachelor party. I was first in line when he opened up the pit. I had all of his cookbooks, watch all of his documentaries. That was Ed Mitchell. Oh, yeah. I am like a huge fan of Ed Mitchell. My whole hog cooking style is an homage in exactly his style of how he cooks his hog. I absolutely loved him. So when I came to North Carolina, I was like a senior cheerleader, and he was like freshman cheerleader. He was the senior quarterback. I was all goo-gaw over Ed Mitchell. Today in the Carolinas, there's so much creativity. I mean, like the people I bring on to the festival are people I'm excited about, right? Yeah. So like Matt Register, I mean, he's chef and barbecue mashed together with this like coastal vibe, and he's just a good human being. I think all barbecue people are just, you have to be a good human being. You can't be kind of like a jerk. And if you are, the barbecue community will recognize that. But and I'm talking about in that area, again, you talk about a speakeasy small town. The Garland is like, if you blink, you will pass right through it. It's really small, and he's doing really cool stuff out there. Yeah. Sweet Lou out in Charlotte, John G's out in Charlotte. Let's see here. We have out east, we have Damn Good Barbecue in Cary. They're awesome. Lawrence Barbecue. I mean, Jake Wood, my wife and I went to his restaurants and followed him as a chef for a long time. And every time he opened a restaurant, I was there either on his last cook or his first cook of that restaurant. Huge fans of his flavor. I mean, his flavor is like, it's like his personality, but in your mouth, you know, like he's just weird and cool at the same time. You don't know what direction it's going to go, but for him to steep into the barbecue life, it's been really cool to see him succeed in that, open his new place in Cary. Yeah, so many.
Yeah, so many. And that makes a nice segue into the barbecue festival and the Pitmaster Invitational. Tell us how you got involved with Pinehurst and maybe what's the goal of the Pitmaster Invitational overall?
Sure. So we're, first of all, super excited. It's year 5. You know, one of those anniversaries you got to make real special. You know, you gotta bring the flowers and the dinner and the the text message notes of I love you. You can't mess up. Like this isn't year 6 or year 4, it's year 5. So you got to make it real special. And we try and do that. That's what's so great about working with Pinehurst is they're always pushing the envelope of improvement. I am a big believer of excellence. And I think this festival really signifies that. I fell in love with Pinehurst when my wife and I went there for an anniversary. And I didn't golf at the time. She didn't play tennis. We went there because it was quiet during the day and you can rock on a chair. And the reason why it's so quiet is because everyone golfs during the day. So it's like really quiet. Right at 5 o'clock when those buses hit, though, you can smell the cigar smoke, hear the bourbon pour, and hear all the lies and stories about how great they are at golf. And it was really special. But I was taking in Pinehurst during that vacation, and I thought, this has got to be one of the most special places in all of North Carolina. From the cobblestone roads to the rich tradition to how just everyone took pride in living in Pinehurst and how clean everything was and how beautiful it was laid out, and all the markets and everything are so eclectic. And I realized that this would be a perfect landscape for a barbecue festival. And in that same year, I was tapped. Hey, we're thinking about doing a barbecue festival in Pinehurst. And it just blew my mind. I was like, yeah, this is the number one place that people need to, 1, visit, because a lot of people don't think about Pinehurst unless you golf. 2, it's the perfect landscape because it's so North Carolina tradition. And you know, North Carolina, it's all about tradition, small town, that old world feel. And Pinehurst was that place to allow a festival of this magnitude to take place. The first year, we obviously had Ed Mitchell be the lead pitmaster. We wanted to start the festival giving tribute to who I considered, and it was no question with the Pinehurst folks, to Ed Mitchell, because you know he's like my Yoda. You know what I mean? Like you gotta give it up to Yoda. Going forward, I wanted to put together in the barbecue circuit, when it comes to these large barbecue festivals, there's traditionally the same names going around over and over again. Okay. And with this opportunity, I wanted to showcase some people that have yet to come to the forefront who are great pitmasters. And some I had talks with, and they were like, I don't know if I can feed that many, be that big. And that's okay. I just had their food before and thought, man, people really need to know who you are. Because honestly, no one knew who I was till someone gave me a chance. And I really believe luck is just a lot of preparation, meeting opportunity. And with these pitmasters, some of them obviously have a lot of events under their belts, but we put together a collection of pitmasters from all over North Carolina, different kind of visions and styles of their perception of barbecue, but holding North Carolina traditions in their hand. We're in Pinehurst, where traditions held very highly. I mean, there's a bagpipe player at the end of the day that just plays so loud in the middle of the town. You just can't get more traditional than that.
Yeah.
And The landscape was beautiful. Year one was a huge success. It was more people than we thought. 3,000-4,000 people show up. Most of these barbecue festivals, they don't have 3,000-4,000 people at all a lot of the time, unless there's like 20 to 40 people. And in Texas, it's the only place where I've done events where they have like 30 cooks and there's that many thousands of people.
Yeah.
But we've slowly evolved the festival little by little and invited different pitmasters every year. You'll see some different ones. Some you'll see the same names. And really, it's just a collection to kind of showcase all the different pitmasters. We don't want a lot of kind of redundancy going on, but there's a lot of people that have come up to the plate that, wanted to put their name in the hat. We had a meeting with them, and Pinehurst said, yeah, let's go with this pitmaster. This year, we're really excited. It's 5-year, remember, special anniversary. So we gotta bring the biggest bouquet of flowers ever. And I've had the esteem, honor, and opportunity to get to know Ashley Christensen for a long period of time. And honestly, she is the epitome of the highest grade of hospitality someone can have. I mean, her not only her accolades, but her acumen when it comes to cooking and Southern cooking, mind you, like steeped in specific Southern cooking. I wanted to round this festival out to be more barbecue, but Southern cooking, right? Because North Carolina is barbecue, but there's there's fried chicken, there's biscuits, there's country ham, there's hoop cheese, there's all this like different stuff you see. And I think that's, the identity we're trying to evolve into, bringing on Ashley, bringing on like Matt Register, and really signifying a more roundness to this special anniversary. But I'm really excited to have that large bouquet of roses. That's Ashley Christensen. And what she's doing is unbelievable. I've had this dish before. It's incredible. And with the pitmasters that we have now, I really think it can't get better. The weather's perfect. The way they line everything up, so you're walking around the whole town. You're taking all of Pinehurst in, which isn't big, and you're getting to eat every pitmaster. There's locally made foods. There's the little shops are all open with little niche things going on. You have the drink stations. There's sheltered areas. There's live music. It's very kid friendly. It's not very boozy is what I call it. Like, it's a very family oriented festival, which I'm very proud of creating. Again, if you go to the Pinehurst Festival, the health of it, look at the diversity of people. Look at where they're coming from. Look at there's barbecue enthusiasts to, a big family, to a group of motorcyclists. Like the range is so wild. It's really, really cool to see.
Yeah. And of course, lots of details at PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com, including the list of participating pitmasters as well as their menu items. If you go to PinehurstBarbecueFestival.com, you can also see the Q School. And Tom's getting tight here on us, Christopher, but give us an overview. What could somebody expect if they come out for your Q School grilling class?
Yeah, Q School grilling class is really special. I spent my entire career teaching people, and it's a little funnier than my other classes. Like, it's very jovial. It's people who just want to have a good time. It's at the brewery. You're getting beer. It's the middle of the day. We cook a ton of dishes. We go over it in high detail. We do it live fire right in front of you. My team is orchestrating like the massive meal behind you. I think it's like 6 or 8 courses. There's seafood, there's chicken, there's hot and fast, there's low and slow. You're sitting in the private area of the brewery. We go in high detail, executing every dish. You get to ask as many nerdy barbecue questions as you want. Ace Hardware's out there. They got their grills going. My pits are out there. They're rolling. It sets the tone for the weekend. Afterwards, you eat all this food and you just go to the brewery and have another cold beer. And you're steeped in Pinehurst tradition. It does not get better than that. It's really a special class. All
right. Well, I got to get a tip from the barbecue nerd while you've got that hat on. What is an overlooked tip for some at-home pit masters that maybe not everybody thinks about usually that you try to coach people on?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I coach people on, they're really hyper-focused on recipes and how do you get that brisket right and how do you get that pork right. I really go, well, what kind of pit are you cooking on? I can't teach you how to fly unless you know what plane you're flying and you know how that plane works. Thermodynamics is like a key. And what I mean by that is how the air moves in that style of cooker you're cooking on, which is essential. I mean, once you learn that, you can put anything inside of that door and it comes out to perfection. It's really understanding the airflow of your pit. And nowadays, there's so many choices. I honestly am teaching more on different styles of airflow, where back in the day, I was just cooking on a hot cooker and a stick burner. Now there's pellet cookers and gravity-fed cookers. And there's so many different styles of cookers and uses. I'm mainly teaching people how to fly their planes that they're using. Also, the number one thing I did in my youth, and I truly do still to this day, is write all of my cooks down. Oh. Repetition is important, but keeping your barbecue diary is super important, because you ever execute that steak or that brisket to perfection but can't replicate it. It's because you're trying to rethink of everything, but you need to diary everything down. And once that recipe becomes second nature, then you can take it off the diary, but you have kind of a repetition of a recipe, and what temperature on that cooker, what grade of meat was that, what brand of meat, how much did I salt and pepper this? All those things are really essential to get into a mastery level.
Great information and insight for our audience out there. And Chris, you've been generous with your time. And before I let you go, I got to ask you, between Prime Barbecue and we didn't mention Primo Latin Cuisine. That's another venture. And Prime STQ, you're in the festivals. You've got these classes. I see you out doing publicity on the TV all the time. What keeps your fire burning? How do you keep doing this day after day, even meeting people and greeting and shaking hands every time you open the restaurant?
Man, you are so good. Honestly, it's my relationship with Christ. That's the number one thing. I mean, I can think of so many things, but without that daily moment where I know that I'm enough just by waking up, and everything I do after this is just to honor that moment. That's what keeps me engaged. Also, seeing people just revitalized by my craft is beautiful. To see that energy, it gives me energy. And honestly, in my daily life, that's what it is. And that's what keeps me going day after day. My relationship with my wife, my family, the collective of mentors that I have around me that help keep me away from me, because I'm my worst enemy. And I'm in a position now where I have few people tell me no. And I need that people around me to say no. It's lonely sometimes where I'm at. I'm in an empty restaurant. I'll be working here for the next 3 hours. People don't see that, but you got to put it in the reps, just like in barbecue. That brisket doesn't get good by one class. You got to put in the reps. You got to put in the time. You got to have the passion, the purpose, and honestly, the patience to know it's done when it's done.
And that, my friends, is the final word from Christopher Prieto. Don't miss your chance to check him out at the Q School or in the Pitmaster Invitational during the Pinehurst Barbecue Festival coming up this Labor Day weekend, August 29th through the 31st in the village of Pinehurst. Tickets at pinehurstbarbecuefestival.com. Christopher, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, honored to have be on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show on the Mesh Network of podcasts. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. Share our podcast with your food-loving friends, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. That's where you can see all the photos and videos of our barbecue adventures and interviews. Don't forget, when you visit lowslowbbqshow.com, you can sign up for a free newsletter and get the latest barbecue news delivered to your inbox on Tuesday mornings. Thanks again to our guest today, barbecue nerd Christopher Prieto from Prime Barbecue in Knightdale. Thanks as well to our whole team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts, especially our producer, Andrew Moose. Finally, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, keep it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.